More money.
And like I said, for last week, I'll keep my screen shared. So when you guys mentioned the tickers, I'll just keep typing up just so we can go through it a little quicker than having everyone share their own screen.
Yeah.
So starting out, with the S&P, we're still in this new range, 454 versus this 425. We're kind of dead smack in the middle of this range at the moment. And we should start to expect to see, this area start to be kind of the new area of support as we do trade this range. We want to be looking for buys, kind of up through this 430 area, kind of holding through the middle of this range. And then when everything looks perfect at the retest or back into resistance, we want to shift and start looking to take some profit. Sector-wise, financials continues to be the strongest other than energy. Just hard to, again, the energy given the move it's had in such a short span where financials still aren't as quite extended, and more of a blue sky breakout for financials where the energy sector still has quite a ways to go before it's even back to the pre-pandemic highs. Individual couple stocks, Snap still looks amazing in this flag. Up through 70 to 78 or 80 area seems to be kind of the key spots in it. But I know for a lot of you guys, kind of buying up off of support has been much easier than trying to do perfect buying up through 80. HCNP still doing okay. I took some profits the last couple of days, just going back through a bunch of my own personal trades and realizing that I hadn't been taking profits in a lot of those break-even trades. And of course, it's probably one that will drift higher than when I sold a bunch. MU is one I still have an order in up through this 72. We tried this, a few members with myself as well, up through this 72 area back in August, looking to take it again, seeing creative burst at 68. And a few other that are setting up. We have this FRT up to 124, a blue sky breakout. We have Warby, just another quick reminder why we want to focus on waiting for that seller to break. We were keeping an eye on that 54, we can see that seller kind of held its ground there and being pulled in, pretty significantly. Again, if it gets back up there in time, probably a great trade through an IPO high, but for now, at least for me, it's kind of off my radar. Well, we have this nice earnings flag that's been forming for a couple weeks now. Still probably need some time, but definitely looks good through that 210 area. Zebra, another sneaky buyback trade. Again, it probably still has to push lower, maybe down to 460 before that time comes. It'll be ready to push back up to 520, but one definitely to keep an eye on. A few others. CBRE up to 100, HD through the all-time highs, 344, 340. Kind of keep an eye on these two spots. Similar as well, both those names probably will break out at a similar time. This Disney, again, this 180 level that we've been watching for the better part of this entire year. Eventually, this base will break in one of two ways, and the thought is for it to break higher. And last in line is this LH. Like a similar sneaky buyback like that Zebra up this 282, 283 area. Those are kind of a handful of names to keep an eye on for the week ahead. Shake if you want to jump in. Yeah.
Shake in here yet? I don't think so. I'll go, yeah. So what was I looking at? I mean, this morning I was actually looking at the indexes, and it looks like it actually kind of filled that gap to the downside. If you look at like a SPY intraday chart, pre-market, it filled that gap to what was it, like 436, and now it's kind of moved back up. So it's definitely wait and see for me. I don't have anything that I'm super interested in buying. I have still a little bit of this Affirm from last week, and I'm just letting it work. Nothing to do up here. I have to just let it fight its way out over here, and then hopefully I can add to my position through all-time highs in time. Other than that, I like this Love still that I mentioned last week. It's just continuing to wedge, putting in higher lows. Love, LOVE. Yeah. So yeah, just wedging. Yep, there you go, perfect. So yeah, I'm looking for a break of that resistance level in time. I'm mostly just keeping an eye on weekly charts right now and letting them kind of figure themselves out because there's just it's hard for me to put on any trades on these like mediocre setups when I know there's better setups coming soon. So I'm not going to drain myself trying to find, force A plus setups when they're not really A plus at all. I've done that before. I've been through these kind of seasons, and when I always look back thinking what I bought was an A plus setup, I look back and I, tell myself I'm an idiot because it was nowhere near the kind of setups that actually make me money. So being super, super patient right now, mostly hands off, and letting these weekly charts figure themselves out.
Cool, I like it. Mo, you got anything you're keeping an eye on?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Hev here where I noticed I'm looking at charts where, there's names we haven't looked at in a while. Low and HD are on my list, but then it's like scanning through retail, it's like this M Macy's. It's like, I would never buy this name, but then it's like, I'm forcing myself to look at names, just to scan. It's like, you kind of see it. It's not A plus, through 23, but you're forcing a trade here. Tesla obviously on the radar through 800. I know, AMD and Snap have been on our radars, and Shake's mentioned them in the shakedown. Obviously you have it in the big picture as well, but nothing really stands out to me. You notice names where like Best Buy is on the list where it's like kind of bottomed here. At the MAs you want to support buy, but it's like, charts are ugly. We need consolidation. I know, Ben, you're gonna laugh at this one. Like BAC through 45, it's like you're gonna buy this name. Yeah, like it's
BAC.
Oh,
no
Bank
BAC,
of America.
no Bank of America. Like we're gonna buy this through all-time highs. I mean, because financials are at financial sector is strong. It's like we start looking at these names. I'm telling myself, I'm looking at BAC and fucking Macy's right now. Like this is wild. So kind of like Kevin said, like step back, like kind of wait. And you can see names, a lot of names kind of like, if you look at Amazon's chart where it puts those two consolidating candles and then kind of dumping, Adobe kind of looks the same. I don't know. I don't see anything that really stands out that looks really, really good to me.
Just so for the guys like who don't know, I have this hatred towards some of the some of the bank names that like caused financial crisis, Bank of America being one of them, and the reason why I was never trade the name. And just looking at this monthly chart, this is like pre-financial crisis. Bank of America is $50 stock, and we're talking almost 15 some odd years later, and it still has not been able to get back to its pre-financial crisis. We're talking multiple crises ago, prior share price, where you look at names like Goldman, that during that same era, during the financial crisis over here, it was able to kind of reclaim and exceed that level, by more than 100%. So like, if any of you guys ever hear like, I will never trade Bank of America just because, I was trading and buying Bank of America at 50 in 2006, 2007, and sat with it down to 5. And so I'm in that older camp where it's like, this is any I personally wouldn't trade just because of me have my experience with it. But if there's a setup in it, as from a swing trading standpoint, by all means take it. But it's something to mention really quick. Kush, I know you've been posting a bunch of stuff. I always retweet your stuff on Twitter. So what are you looking at?
Me right now, I'm just looking at growth names like DOCN. I'm waiting for everything to set up. And I'm watching this STX below 79 and ALB below 210 in time.
Now a couple tweets, and now you're looking to start shorting.
I didn't chart today or yesterday. I thought today was a day off. I thought it was a holiday. I didn't know.
Who was the first one you mentioned?
Say it again.
What was the first one you mentioned? DOCX?
DOCN. Really strong name. Really, really strong. Needs time to set up.
That looks really good. Like you want to buy it through 88?
Through 89. Through 89 in time. Really, really strong. 100% year to date.
Okay. Paul, what about you? You looking at anything?
Say it again.
I was asking Tyler.
I got nothing. I'm still holding some net, some CELH, some Airbnb. That's about it for me.
And when did you get this net up through like 117?
I got net at freaking 35.
$35?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Or
That
30.
thing's been in the back of the closet. He's just letting it grow. He's not even, that thing's,
Wow.
I have
yeah,
like 10 or 15 shares left from 30.
nice.
Nice. Keep holding it. Sell the 300 and
I-
top cross percentage trade.
I want this EXPI really bad. I've been waiting on a setup for it. The thing is gonna run like crazy when it after a little bit of consolidation.
You looking at it up through this like 45 area or up through these like highs up here to 52?
Well, I really wanted to get it last week versus that like those two little green days down there versus that last pivot. So I'm kind of hoping it pulls in back to 37-ish area and scoop some there maybe. Like a
Oh, really? Yeah. That sounds
like
horrible.
this trend line right here.
I was starting to use that thing. Ben, when you're done, check out this dash. All right, we ready? Through 210.
Up through 210?
Correct.
So the only thing is like this was, I think there's a couple of examples where it's like this was like the easy trade. Like anytime in here, it's just your flag after flag after flag after flag. And then like when you start to see this, and it's almost like even with like AMD, like this was like such a like, everyone who's involved in this part of the trade, it was just so easy to be a part of it. But then once it starts like pull back in, like this just becomes a much more difficult spot to get involved. And now again, now it's starting to base out to up through, this area versus 100 makes more sense. But in this initial pull-in, it's just very difficult to find like a proper entry that if you miss this, you're just better off kind of doing nothing. And like for Dash, it's kind of to me like the same thing. Like it had this nearly 100% run in less than 6 months or so. And now we're starting to see kind of the first bit of it starting to pull in that, yes, again, up through 210, maybe it does get back up to 230 and continues to drift up higher, but it just seems like a little bit more of a difficult trade than had you been buying up through 210 the first time or up through 190 or 160 or any of these spots. I think you have to maybe just give it a little more time.
Yeah, that dash is a perfect example of what I was saying earlier, where it's hard for me to put on a trade here because I made money on dash before on the easy trade, and I don't really see a reason to go at it now. But I have this dash on my watch list for that 230 level in time. When those weekly setups work out, and 230 I think will be easy to say, but the quote unquote easier trade when it breaks that resistance in time.
Yeah, even like another like example. Like for this MMC, like I've gone over this trade numerous times, and it's just like now, like when I finally got stopped out, I think it was like on this day, it's like now it's just lower highs, it's lower lows, like it's just in a different, now it's starting to trend downward.
Yeah.
Where this entire time it was just a much easier trade. Just continue to put in higher pivot lows, higher highs, like everything about this was just easy to hold it and add to it. Where now it's like, again, maybe it starts to pull in and then it bases out and gets back high. By all means, that can definitely happen, but this is now more difficult for me to try to get back in, and I would rather just move on and not look to lose money in anything I just made money in. And if you were already in Dash making money in it up from 190 to 220, it's probably easier to take that trade than had to miss that part and then let me buy 210 versus 190, get stopped out, and it comes back to 170 anyways.
Yeah.
All right, so we got anybody else? Jennings, Chris, you guys look at anything?
Hey Ben, I was looking at this UPST through 320.
Yeah. And what first 280? First 300?
Yeah, 320 through 300.
Yeah, so this is kind of like that dash where it's again, more, way more than I guess more than 100%. Up more than 100% very quickly, and now it's there's really not much, other than just buying above that high versus this pivot. It's not like there's not really much of a pattern here. And kind of best case scenario, it's gonna retest the prior high. So you're 2-to-1,
Yeah.
really best case. If this was to, flag out for months, even like if you look at like Snap, it's like, it's been consolidating for 3 months now in this tight range. And it's like, you can see defined areas, like we can see clear as day, 70 support. We can see like 78 and 80 has been resistance, where in this name, it's really not, it just happened to be an area like as of Friday, but it's not really that significant. Like we can see 260 support, we can see 280 held, but to give it 20 points when it more likely would just retest 340 and be met with anyways. If you're not already in this, for me, I think it would just be kind of a pass.
All right, thank you.
Anybody else, John? John, Chris, you looking at it?
Yes. Got this VSTO. V for Victor.
Oh,
V for
VSTO.
VSTO, yeah. Missed out too.
That's what you're looking at here.
So you'll have 42.2 maybe over there. Either 40 or 39.3.
I like it versus what, 40?
Yeah, well, yeah, about 40, yeah. Or I guess it's the choice of the 40 or the 39.3, which is the pivot on the.
Yeah, this is like, again, you can see very clearly like this has been an area that the stock has battled with. You can see that it's like continuously recently putting in higher pivot lows. Back, 37, 38, 39, now 40 is holding, so we can see if those buyers are coming up. Clearly, this seller is in this 42 to 43 area for the past month or two, where like this is much more defined, that it makes sense that to be willing to risk $2 and you get that move back up to 48, you do get 3 or 4 to 1. Definitely makes a lot of sense. I like it.
And then you've got the LPX.
And what are you looking at here?
It's 63 versus 16. It's got that's a flag, isn't it?
Like a nice little wedge forming. Probably even verse 60, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, I guess the only other one that I was looking at is IP.
What was it?
IP.
IP.
Yeah, IP. It's just I say sort of bouncing off the 200 moving average. It's got that sort of resistance and support 55.
And this is what you're giving it, what, verse 50?
52 and a half. Yeah, just under 52 and a half. 52 and a half.
I don't know. They look pretty good. See anybody else? You want to say anything?
Yeah, I do. Sorry, this is John. I was looking at WEC support buy in that 90 area. Looks really good on the weekly. Probably waiting for an inside day for an entry for that. Energy kind of on the hopefully of a comeback here, kind of with winter coming around.
And you're giving us what verse, like this 86?
Yeah, a little bit wide right now. I'm not loving it. Was hoping for an inside day. Maybe take a look at the weekly. I think it looks better on the weekly.
Cool. Okay. Now let's see. Who else is in here? We can call on. Fred, you looking at anything? Say no on that one. Anyone else before we wrap this up?
I got one more for you. Check out Ulta. Things flagging at all-time highs through this freaking market weakness. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like it. So let's see, we're seeing like this pivot low for now, 360. We can see clearly 390 has been resistance for the past couple months.
Some daily setup, but I think it's a pretty nice earnings flag there
Yeah,
at highs.
I like it. Keep on the radar. All right, before we wrap this up, anyone else have any last thoughts, any top ideas?
Can you take a look at PRGS
PRGS.
through 50 half against 48 half?
Like that.
Yeah, so I know someone mentioned this, I don't know if you mentioned it, someone else mentioned it the day that it had earnings. And now that it's kind of coming back, you know,
If it holds that or fills the gap.
I mean, this
Yeah.
technically is a bear flag, so it's like, you would
Yeah.
expect this to break down through 48. So if it was to say to shake out down to 48 and eventually kind of work its way back up through that area, definitely would be a nice trade. I think like if this was just a ticket, say today or tomorrow, I don't think it would really trap enough people to really get like that, at least that initial move back to this area. That's gonna be that first major retest. But if we get that first little down move to fill in this little gap and then eventually get back up through that, that's gonna look good. And that's like one that I think would fall most people's radars after it fills that gap, that it's like exactly what we want for it to kind of sneakily go back up through there and continue that move higher. All right, guys, so we got a couple minutes till the market opens. Let's see.
Hey, Ben, can you check out one more? Can you check out FLYW, Flywire?
F.
It looks a little bit wide right now, but keep an eye on that 50 level.
Recent IPO, through IPO, through, these highs.
It's kind of wide, right?
It is, I mean, that kind of comes with the territory with these more recent IPOs. You kind of expect that, again, third day up, like if it was to go today, it would be quite difficult for us to, again, you could trade it super tight versus 48 for just like that momentum break. But the reality is like you can even see, 3, 4, 5 days up tends to be where this thing gets exhausted, except for kind of this run. But in this area, we would be kind of buying like here anyways. It's not like we would be buying down here. But if this was to kind of tighten up a little bit, but we can kind of get first maybe 46 conservatively, this definitely looks great.
All right.
I see in the chat, was looking at John's looking at WC. Did we go over that? Oh, yeah, we did. Yeah, we did. Okay. All right, guys. So good luck this open. Call anything out you guys see, and hopefully have a good week.
All righty, let's get it.
All right.
All right.
Take care.
All right, stay safe.
Thanks, Al.
Got it.
Thank you.